Hello everybody and welcome to the Gaming Grappler. This is a channel dedicated to talking about video games, mixed martial arts, and even movies. Yeah, I do a bit of everything. But for today's video, I'm going to give you my thoughts and analysis for the upcoming UFC card, UFC 270. Francis Ngannou versus Cyril Ghani. But you know, after Derek Lewis pretty much called Gane Cyril, that's his nickname from now on. Man just picks a name and it permanently sinks in. That's just the way things are. I'm only going to really be talking about the co-main and main event. There's a lot of guys I'm not aware of. Like, I'm aware of Michel Pierre, but I don't know who Andre Filigo is. The guy doesn't even have a picture on the website. Now, what is notable about this card, we have a said Nurmagomedov. We have a Nurmagomedov fighting that isn't Khabib. That guy's whole family is gifted. I'm just going to say that right outright. Just because his last name is Nurmagomedov, I think he's going to win based off of that alone. All those guys kick ass and completely dominate the competition in front of them. They're on a whole different level. Dagestan just seems to be like one of those talent hotspots on the planet. There's a really good book about that you guys should check out. But yeah, said Nurmagomedov, I think he's going to smoke him. Michel Pierre, normally I'd say like, yeah, he's going to win, but I don't know anything about the other guys, so I can't make a definitive call. But let's get into the co-main. And for the co-main, we have Brandon Moreno versus Davison Figuereto. This is the third time these guys have fought. The first time they fought was a highly competitive match that could have went either way. And because of that mentality, it ended up a draw. But the second time they fought, Brandon Moreno completely swept Davison Figueredo. He made it look easy. He out-grappled him and got into a rear naked choke in the second round. And since he definitively defeated him the second time, I see no reason why that wouldn't happen again. Brandon Moreno just showed that the guy is talented. He works hard. He even said in the post-fight interview for that fight that as soon as he got the draw from the first time they fought, he went right into fight camp planning just to beat Davison Figueredo. Now, what Figueredo has going for him now is it looks like he has cut weight more properly. This guy cuts like 60 pounds before a fight. And it's pretty clear to me that that diminishes him as a fighter. Now, granted, when you cut a lot of weight, you have an advantage in size. You have an advantage in reach. Not in his case, the guy's pretty short. But people usually do that to get that size advantage to dominate the wrestling. But there comes a point where if the weight cut is too damaging, that you're not going to get much of an advantage. You're going to be weaker to getting hit. You're going to run out of gas more, and it's going to become a problem. For a lot of people, that happens to a point where I think Davison Figueredo would be better off going in bantamweight. But if you check his Instagram and look at, she seems to me that he has found a way to cut weight more effectively and efficiently. It doesn't look like he's going to go through some massive 60-pound weight cut in 2 months. It looks like he's found a way to gradually do that. And that's really his only shot at beating Moreno for the third time, is that he's found a way to efficiently cut weight, and that was the reason why he lost the second time. But I got to go with McLovin. I think Brandon Moreno is really good. The guy just keeps on getting better. He worked his ass off to win, and I see no reason why that wouldn't happen again. And now we have the main event. We have Francis Ngannou, the Predator, La Predator, versus Cyril Ghani, Buongamin. I'm sorry, I don't really know how to speak French that good. I think I just slipped into Italian there for half a second. But Francis versus Cyril. So who do you think is going to win this fight? And I know his name's Cyril Ghani. I know. But we're going with the Derek Lewis terminology. I'm a big fan of Derek Lewis. Even when he you know what? I know this is going to sound really stupid, but I still think that Derek Lewis can beat Cyril Ghani if he just gets into a slugfest with the guy. I think he just had one of his off days. He had a low T moment when he fought in the cage, and it just didn't turn out well. Because when they were fighting, every time Derek Lewis threw a punch at Gane, Gane just like bolted to the other end of the octagon. I've never seen somebody that afraid of getting hit before then in that fight. But yeah, Lewis got dominated, but you know, he's my favorite fighter. He's funny, and yeah, I'll always think he's one of my favorite fighters on the roster. But for Cyril Ghani versus Francis Ngannou, I'm going to go with Francis Ngannou. A lot of people will say that Cyril Ghani is one of the best and most technical strikers on the roster. To that, I would say that Stipe Miocic is also one of the best and most technical fighters on the roster. And we saw what Francis did to him the second time they fought. Francis is a phenom. He is very powerful and athletic. And his power gives him a lot of mistake allowance that a lot of fighters don't have. What I mean a mistake allowance is one of his punches is worth 10 of yours. And that's a problem for a lot of people. Look at Stipe Miocic, is a very technically sound fighter. When Stipe fought Daniel Cormier the second time around, he was losing that fight. And he was losing pretty badly. I think Daniel was manhandling him most of the fight. But then in I think the third or fourth round, Stipe made an adjustment. And he found a way to hit DC with a liver shot, a pinpoint accurate liver shot. And a liver shot hurts. If you've never been punched in the liver before, it's like getting stabbed. He hit DC with 11 of those. 11 of those pinpoint accurate liver shots that opened up his head and beat him. Stipe Miocic is a very technically sound fighter because we know that Daniel Cormier is a technically sound fighter. And Francis Ngannou, the second time around they fought, he got better. When Francis lost the first time against Stipe, the guy got better. He got patient, he got more accurate, and he was able to slowly pick apart Stipe Miocic. See, well, Francis Ngannou may not have much of a gas tank. That's one of the downsides for being so large and for having so much muscle, is those muscles and that power takes a chunk out of the gas tank. But what Francis figured out was that he doesn't need a lot of volume. One of your punches can knock somebody out. I just want to emphasize the power that Francis Ngannou has here. Francis Ngannou has knocked people out with punches that looked like a cat grabbing a ball of yarn. But he's knocked people out. It looks like, imagine a kitty just touching a ball of yarn, but that's Francis's fist on your head. He can knock you out from 3 inches. He could do a Bruce Lee 2 inches punch. The guy can do that because it's just physics. When you're so big and so powerful, your mass doesn't need as much speed and velocity. And I think that power is going to, because Cyril Ghani is a technically active striker. He's one of the best strikers. He looks like he could be fighting at light heavyweight or even middleweight. He's got good fluidity. He bounces back and forth. He has good footwork in the ring. He uses all parts of his bodies in his striking, elbows, punches, kicks, where somebody like Derek Lewis or Francis Ngannou is primarily, they fight mostly boxing oriented. Cyril Ghani strikes with volume. We've seen him on the ground a few times. He has submitted people in the past, but I don't think he's going to be subbing Francis Ngannou. I would be surprised. And the thing about Francis Ngannou is that his coach has been on the record saying that wrestling is one of the things that he has trained and practiced the most with him. Stipe, again, tried to get a takedown on Francis, and that got completely rejected and dominated. Again, Stipe has takedowns on Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier, one of the GOATs of wrestling. So, again, Francis... if Francis loses, it's because the fight goes past the second round. He runs out of gas and cardio, and then he gets picked apart by Cyril Ghani. But I think that Francis is so powerful, and he has so much. He has more room for error than Cyril Ghani does. It's not fair, but that's just the reality of the situation. I don't see Cyril Ghani out wrestling him, and Francis, I think, can get it done in 1 or 2 rounds. I think he can. Francis Ngannou has won most fights in the first round. I think Stipe Miocic, surprising enough as it is, even though Stipe Miocic got completely dusted the second time they fought, it's still so far Francis Ngannou's hardest fight because technically he's the only one to get him out of the first round, even after all said and done. So yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to have to go with La Predator, Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou's a beast. There should be some more interesting fights on the card I want to get into. Michel Pierre, Lima versus Andre Filigo. I don't know much about Andre Filigo. I mean, but Michel Pierre is one of those fighters that is dynamic and interesting. This guy lost a fight once because he was doing backflips off the cage, but that's the kind of guy that Michel Pierre is. He wants to put on a show when he fights. This guy does acrobatic ninja flips in the cage. So whether he wins or loses, you're going to be having a good time. And then we have Cody Stamann versus Said Nurmagomedov. And like I said before, it's a Nurmagomedov. A Nurmagomedov is fighting. How do you think it's going to go? But, I could be wrong. Who knows? Maybe Cody Stamann could get it done. But, again, I highly doubt it. It's a bantamweight fight. But, again, this looks like it's going to be a phenomenal card. With that being said, this is the Gaming Grappler. I have got plenty of content that I have on my channel. If you like UFC content or MMA analysis, I do that. I got a little bit of martial arts experience. I'm not a pro, but I'm a gym rat. I've been in an MMA gym. I did a bit of training. I know a thing or two, but not as much as somebody like Israel Adesanya. His channel's phenomenal. It's way better than mine when it comes to MMA content. But diversify your content. Listen to my stuff. I also do gaming reviews and analysis, and I will say this, I am very good at that. I've got very fantastically well made gaming content if you're interested, and I do movie reviews as well. So when it comes to media and entertainment, sports, video games, and movies, I'm your go-to guy. I think you should check out my channel. And with that being said, have a good one, everybody.